I got an invitation for my sister's wedding, but there was something strange written at the bottom. Family only. Just you. Please leave your husband at home. I read the note over and over trying to figure out what it meant. I've been married to Dan for 6 years and my sister had always adored him. He'd even lent her $15,000 last year without hesitation so she could start her jewelry business. And she'd always referred to him as her favorite brother. They had a close bond. So why was he being excluded from such a significant event? I tried calling her 3 times that week, but she didn't pick up. I sent a text asking if the note was a mistake, but her response was vague. Wedding planning is crazy, but I'll see you there. No explanation. Nothing that could clarify why she was asking me to come alone. I asked my mom if she had any idea about what was going on. She brushed it off saying, "Your sister is being dramatic again. You know how she is." So I tried not to think much of it either. But Dan, being the understanding person he is, said he'd stay home if it made things easier for everyone. That just made me feel worse. On the day of the wedding, I showed up alone, wearing the dress my sister had helped me pick out 2 months earlier, when everything seemed normal. As soon as I entered the venue, I felt the eyes on me. My aunt whispered something to my cousin, and some of my sister's bridesmaids fell silent as I walked by. It felt like I was walking into an uncomfortable spotlight. I finally saw my sister adjusting her veil near the entrance. She spotted me and rushed over, pulling me into a tight hug that almost took my breath away. She whispered, "Thank you for understanding." Her eyes were teary. Confused, I asked, "Understanding what?" She just shook her head and said, "We'll talk later." Then, just as quickly, she was pulled away by her wedding coordinator, leaving me even more bewildered than before. The ceremony was lovely, and she looked happier than I'd seen her in a long time. Her new husband couldn't take his eyes off her. Everything seemed perfect. So I started thinking that maybe I was overreacting to the whole situation. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. But things got stranger during the reception. I was seated at a table with my parents and my uncle when I noticed that my sister's husband kept checking his phone. Every few minutes, he glanced up nervously toward the entrance, his leg bouncing under the table as if he was waiting for someone or expecting something to happen. Then came the speeches. My sister's maid of honor spoke first, telling a sweet story about college. But when my sister's husband stood up, the atmosphere shifted. He thanked everyone for coming, of course. But then he said something that made my blood run cold. "I want to especially thank everyone who respected our wish for a small, family-only ceremony," he said, looking directly at me. "Some people tried to force their way in today, but true family knows when boundaries matter. True family knows when to step back." I could feel the heat rise in my face, and the whole table went quiet. I knew that everyone was staring at me. I reached for my phone, which had been vibrating nonstop in my bag. When I checked, it was a text from my mom. "Don't react. Just read this. Your sister told me last month that her fiancé has been obsessed with you since the Christmas party 2 years ago. She banned Dan from the wedding because her husband said he couldn't handle being around both of you. He wanted Dan gone so he could talk to you alone at the reception." I read it again, trying to process it. My hands were shaking. I glanced up, and sure enough, my sister was staring at me from the head table. Her face was pale, and her eyes were filled with tears. She didn't know he was going to say that out loud. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. All eyes were on me. Without saying a word, I walked out of the reception hall. As soon as I got to the parking lot, my phone started exploding with texts. My sister was apologizing, saying she didn't know how her husband felt. "He's been hiding it from me," she said. "I never wanted this to happen." I heard footsteps behind me and turned to find my sister's husband jogging toward me, his tie loosened, his face flushed. "We can finally talk without Dan around," he said. "We've got so much to discuss." I couldn't stop myself from laughing. It was harsh, but I couldn't help it. "I'm just waiting for my Uber," I told him. He looked relieved, thinking I was playing along. But then I saw Dan's truck pull into the parking lot, parked just a few spaces away. He'd been sitting there, watching everything, knowing something was off, knowing that my sister wouldn't do something like this without a reason. My sister's husband froze, his face draining of color. Dan walked over and stood silently beside me, not saying a word. I turned to my sister's husband and said, "Congratulations on your marriage." Then without another word, we left. 4 months later, my sister filed for divorce.